Hello everybody, I'm Kamaleao, welcome to my channel. This is The Witcher 3, a great game that I never finished. Now first of all, if you don't know what Witcher 3 is, what is wrong with you? Get this game and play it, it's really amazingly good. But it's a short summary. It's a big open world RPG, it's very adult themed and it's very different in many ways because it's not your typical warrior, rogue, mage, elves and dwarves style RPG, but it's more, it's based on Eastern European books, and it's very gritty and very medieval European style. And it has a lot of good going for it that I really enjoyed. I enjoyed the gameplay, I really enjoyed the world, it's very immersive, or at least it was to me. And I had a hell of a lot of fun with it. The problem is, I never finished it, and the question is, why? Why would I not finish a game that seems to be that good? And don't get me wrong, it is that good. Now, the problem is, my problems are twofold. Two things that I had that I didn't really like. The smaller one is the difficulty settings in this game. Now, there are multiple difficulty settings, that's something I really like. I think most games should have them, if not all. And the problem with them is they have more influence on what happens in the game than just the difficulty level. In higher difficulty levels, you get stuff like the potions you craft don't regenerate when you meditate. So you can meditate, that should regenerate, or in lower difficulty levels it regenerates your health and it gives you your potions back to full stacks. On higher level difficulty levels, that doesn't happen. Instead, you have to recraft your potions all the time. Which isn't really making the game more difficult. What I want in difficulty levels is to make the gameplay more difficult. I want stronger enemies, I want enemies that behave more intelligently. Having to recraft everything all the time is not a change that makes the game more difficult. All it does is it makes it more grindy, because you're essentially forced to run around and pick up more crafting materials. You have to spend more time crafting in between your awesome adventuring. And that's not what I want to do. I think it's great that option is there. It's like kind of a more realism, survival style mode. But I don't think that should be tied to difficulty. Because there might be people who enjoy that part. The more realistic, you have to craft everything you want to use and you have to gather a lot of stuff. But don't want the difficult game, the difficult enemies. And then there are people like me. At least when I played that game at that time, I didn't want the whole grindy pick up tons of stuff thing. I just wanted strong enemies and challenging fights. But you can't have one without the other. And that is very bad. But that is not, it's a small gripe, but that didn't stop me from actually playing the game. Or enjoying it. Far from it. It's just a minor annoyance. But what could have happened that made me stop playing a game that is as cool as The Witcher 3? Even the minigame in The Witcher 3 is really great and very interesting and fun to play. It's called Gwent, it's a card game, and even though it appears to be rather simplistic on first glance, I spent a lot of time with it, and not only me, a lot of people enjoyed it, so much that it has become a standalone game. And personally, I think it's probably my favorite game in a game since they put Maniac Mansion into Day of the Tentacle, and that was a long time ago, so this is really good and has a lot going for it. So I got the game quite early after it was released, not right away, but semi right away, which is rare for me. I usually play games when have been out for a longer time, and are patched up all the way, and you get them cheap with all the DLC and stuff like that. And that brings me right to the reason why I stopped playing The Witcher. And why even after like a year after I stopped it, tried to restart it again and replay it, I was still pissed off so much that I couldn't go through with it. That is bugs. Or, to be specific, one bug. Now, at the time I didn't know that there was a bug. And that is probably part of the problem. It has to do with one quest called The Wandering in the Dark. It's one of the main quests. I would like to show you footage of that, but I think when I ran into that problem, I ultimately uninstalled the whole game and deleted all my save games, and yeah, I was pretty pissed off. I restarted the game later, but I don't think that I came far enough to get to that quest, or if I did, I can't find the save game for that. So I just have to tell you. But if you played the game, you will probably remember it, because, well, it's one of the main quests. So in Wandering in the Dark, you are with Keira Metz, who is a witch or magic user. And you are investigating some ruins and a big cave and stuff like that. And yeah, most of the time you just walk through it, fight against golems and stuff like that. Very interesting, nice quest. Until you finally reach a point where you have to cross a room. And there is the Wild Hunt summons a huge blizzard thingy around you, or in the whole room, and Keira creates a shield around you, which is just a sphere, a small, very small sphere that protects you and Keira from the cold. Now you have to walk through the room, and there are several portals. I think maybe 3, I'm not sure. And each of these portals spawns a group of enemies that attack you. I think it was dogs. Or hounds. Whatever. They attack you, you have to kill them, and that's the quest. Or that part of the quest. Seems pretty straightforward. Should be pretty straightforward. I ran into a bug. I played on a high difficulty level. And what that resulted in was, when you go out of the protective shield, you take a ton of damage. You would die really, really quickly. So essentially, you cannot go out of the cone, out of the shield that Keira creates. If you do that, you lost. So far, so okay. Meant that you had to be extremely careful with dodge rolling, because you would roll out of the protective shield very, very quickly. That made it difficult to fight. The bug that I ran into was that Keira would die in one hit. She would die if one of the dogs just looked at her cross. Which was problematic, because multiple enemies, keeping all of them on myself at all time, not getting hit because I would die in very few hits as well, and not rolling out of the shield. And that was ridiculous. Especially because when one of them lost a focus on me just for a second and essentially walked up to Keira, she would just fall over dead and I had lost. And that happened oh so many times. And I didn't I didn't even think that there could be a bug or that this could be unintentional. I just thought, okay, this is a really difficult quest. I've got to power through it. And I kept on trying and trying and trying for literally days. Again and again. I don't know how many attempts I made, but way, way, way too many. I remember one time where I managed to make it through to the last portal, and there, down to the last 1 or 2 enemies, One of them jumped at me. I was very low on health. I had to dodge it. I dodged it. The attack went through, hit Kira, and she died instantly. So that really pissed me off. And after that, I was so annoyed that I completely uninstalled, deleted the game, deleted every save file, and swore that I would never play this junk again. Later, I talked with a friend of mine, and he asked me, "Hey, you playing Witcher? How's it going?" And I poured out all of my hate and suffering. And he said, "Oh, that sounds strange. I mean, the game is difficult on higher levels, yeah, but it's not that unfair." And that prompted me to think, could it be a bug, maybe? I mean, on hindsight, I could have just turned down the difficulty level, but that is not what I wanted to do. I wanted to play it on a higher difficulty level, and I kind of sunk my teeth in there and got really annoyed. So, yeah. Read up on it, found out that's a bug, and with a later patch that would have been available, that bug would have been fixed. Or the bug would have been fixed by just switching to a lower difficulty level where that didn't occur. I never did that, and I never finished Witcher 3. I tried it again later, but every time I touch the game, somehow, I just remember how things went back then, and I get annoyed very, very quickly. Which is a shame, because it's a cool game, it's beautiful, should be fun. It is fun, really, if you don't run into that problem. And yeah, that's why I stopped playing The Witcher 3. The biggest problem here was that I didn't realize that it was a bug. I thought it was just poor game design, which is pretty dumb on my part, in hindsight. But, well, still, things are the way they are. I wonder, have you ever run into situations like that, where you just couldn't bear playing a game anymore, and then later found out that was just a mistake, a bug, something that went wrong, something that would have been easily fixed with a patch or changing of the difficulty level? Well, until next time, I'm Kamaleao. Have a good time.